All right, so welcome to this quickly arranged stakeout, and all of you members of the media, thank you. We have just come from an event here in meeting room 3 about the women's situation in Afghanistan. And you can see what an impressive group of women that we've had on the podium, together also with ministers of foreign affairs from the co-conveners of this event. And we thank very much Ireland, Qatar, the Swiss, of course, and Indonesia. So those 4 countries have, together with the Women's Forum on Afghanistan that we represent here, the 3 Afghan women and myself, since I'm the chair of the Women's Forum on Afghanistan. I'm a former Foreign Minister of Sweden and back in the UN. So we have also watched a short version of a movie that will be released soon about some of these women that participated in negotiations with the Taliban a few years ago. So this has been an opportunity for them to, of course, explain the situation for women in Afghanistan at the moment. But we also had the honor and pleasure of having Meryl Streep, as you will recognize here, and I guess that's why you are so many here to see us, that she introduced the movie and also made a powerful plea for more attention to the situation of the women in Afghanistan. And of course we have Rosemary DiCarlo, and I want to thank her also from all of us, because she has been a very steadfast friend and somebody always willing to listen at the DPPA to our stories and our concerns about the situation. So that's who we are, and by my side I have Asila, Wardak, I have Fawziya Koofi and Habiba Sarabi, and they are former ministers or high officials or vice speaker of the parliament in Afghanistan. So really political leaders from Afghanistan, but now in the forum. And I want to give the word also to Fawziya, maybe to begin with, to say a few words about what has happened here today and what the situation is.
Today, I think, was an important opportunity for women who are in Afghanistan, who are disappointed, who are hopeless because of what's happening, especially the new law by the Taliban, which basically ban women from any sphere, including speaking in the public. To see their voices are represented, the Secretary General of the UN listens to it, the ministers listens to it, and we have celebrities. I think it's a small sign of hope that is created for the women, but it's not enough. We should not have just one-time show and shot for Afghan women, for those who are in need. It has to be a process, and women should be part of that process at every stage. And I think it's important for the UN to start appointing that special envoy that is in the report by independent assessment, to start a political process. And women should be given that agency, the representation of that, leading that political process, because without changing the political ecosystem in Afghanistan, nothing will change. And the Taliban actually get their power by suppressing women. So the expectation to work with Taliban to change, I think, is a bit unrealistic, because we can only change when there is a government that is representative of all segments of society, including the women. And therefore, our plea to the UN is to start appointing that special envoy that will start the political process in Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we leave the floor open. And of course, we had the Secretary General there as well to open our event today. I almost forgot him. That would have been a sin. Yes. Thank you.
It's Margaret Bashir with Voice of America. My question to our Afghan guests, there were no men on the panel today. Can you tell us more about the role of Afghan men in supporting you in your quest to regain your rights? And what do you make of the report in the Washington Post yesterday about how the Taliban are now cracking down on men, not being allowed to wear blue jeans, must grow their beards a certain length, scolding people who are not attending the mosque. What do you make of the new move? Thank you.
Maybe you want.
Well, it's a government of Taliban, by Taliban, for Taliban in Afghanistan. Nobody else is part of that. So it's not only women who are affected, it's the men who are affected. We are a bit disappointed for the fact that men do not stand to the extent that they should in our support. But it's a very difficult situation, and there are unrest, extrajudicial killing, arbitrary detention of people, people are enforced disappeared. So we understand the situation, but I think those fathers, those brothers, and those husbands who were coming to us as their representative in the last 20 years, we want to see them now in solidarity, in action. We want them to help us reclaim our country.
Can I say something else about that? Imagine a country of 43 million people where suddenly one day all men wake up to the news that the women guerrilla has taken the power, that men cannot go outdoors, that they have to be accompanied by a sister or mother to be able to go. They cannot go to the park, they cannot go to the barber shop. They cannot speak in public. Imagine if that would happen to men in any country in the world. The world would be in flames. And this is what happens to women in Afghanistan. They cannot go to school, they cannot go to work. And we need to mobilize also men, of course, in support of enjoying basic human rights in any country. Sorry, I just had to say that. Who is next? Next question will be to you. Yes, please.
I'm Fawziya Koofi from Afghanistan International.
Yes.
So
Yes,
my
absolutely.
first question is that many people think, especially women and girls, that if international community, including the UN, put pressure on Taliban, and that pressure can be real, strong, it definitely change their positions. And so many people believe in that. But also they believe that the international community does not push the real pressure on the Taliban. Who in the international community doesn't want Afghan women to be educated, to be powerful, and to be decision makers? You are the right person, international guest, to point that to our people in Afghanistan. And also from our Afghan guest, my Afghan fellow, I'm asking that how hopeful you are that international community here are listening to your points, to your concerns, and to your demands. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We were here to once again remind the international community and then to the global leaders that this fight is not only Afghan women's fight. This should be a global fight against terrorism, against extremism. Because nowadays, you know, in Afghanistan, the level of extremism that's growing up, it will not remain only for Afghanistan, but it will go to the neighboring countries and also to the world. So this is a joint effort and joint responsibility, and it should be a joint fight. In response to your question, Mr. Yaqoubi from International, I think UN is doing a great job. UN is active in Afghanistan, but that's not enough because there is no pressure on Taliban. There is no enough pressure, as I said during my statement. There is no pressure, not only by UN, but by other member states also, because they do have still their leverages, but they are not using. I really don't know till when they should be silent, because we are suffering a lot. 3 years is, imagine someone is sitting 3 years home without going to school, without doing a job or anything. So I once again call on international community, especially UN, to use their leverages and to talk with Taliban and to pressurize more on them to avoid these, at least these, this, especially the morality law and all these things that coming against women and girls of Afghanistan. Once again, I would like also to urge international community and the UN, because the situation of the atrocity of Taliban is daily increasing day by day. But the special reporter on human rights, Mr. Richard Bennett, is also banned. So who will be doing all this documentation and reports? It's very much important to allow him and then to put more pressure on Taliban to at least allow him to go and then make the reports back to the UN. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
This is a question for Mrs. Streep. Stefano Vaccara, la voce di New York Ital Press. Madam, if you had the ear of one of the candidates to the presidency of the United States, especially Vice President Harris, and she will ask you an advice about what's happening in Afghanistan and what she should do if she becomes president, what you will tell her?
I would ask her to consult with these people who know more about that subject than I do. I'm here waving a flag, the flag of celebrity, and I want to thank every single one of you for coming and taking pictures and listening to this group of extraordinary people who've been working on this for more than 20 years, all their lives. That's what I would say. I would direct, and I think that's what's great about Kamala Harris is that she consults experts in order to make the right decisions about foreign policy. And so I would hope she would listen to this group.
Thank you. Thank you, Meryl. All right, should we take a couple of more?
Contestant move. What would be the right approach, for example, from a country like Switzerland in Europe towards Afghanistan?
I wouldn't presume to advise Viola Amherd on how to run the country. I think she's extraordinary, that her support has been wonderful. She was one of the hosts of this colloquium, and I wish her the best of luck. But I think it's all the countries of the world have to combine with one voice on behalf of the women. Yeah.
What is, of course,
the Swiss, can I?
Yes, yeah, please.
Women and human rights. We also want you to reach directly to the women who are affected, who have lost jobs, who do not have a male supporter of their family, who are highly educated, life with no dignity because they don't have a job. If your corporation is opening, they need to reach out directly to those women in communities. 25 of them we recently brought to Albania with support from Swiss. So they need to reach out to actual people on the ground and ensuring that the aid does not reach to Taliban.
All right, we can say, yeah. Do we? Was there any more questions? You have not asked.
Jennifer Peltz from AP. I wanted to ask, in following up on your remarks, what levers do you feel the international community has and is not using?
Maybe Rosemary. Would you like to say something? Yes, Rosemary. Rosemary DiCarlo.
Yeah. Let me just explain what the UN has been doing. Of course, we're on the ground. We're delivering humanitarian assistance. We have had a political mission there.
You
have to go?
Closer.
Closer? Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, we're on the ground. We've had a mission there. We've been in Afghanistan since 1949. Based on a Security Council resolution, we've launched a process, and it's a process to lead and help facilitate principled engagement by member states with Afghan de facto authorities. We've got about 25 countries and 3 or 4 international organizations who are part of it. It's a step-for-step approach. They are expecting Afghanistan to live by its obligations to its people and its international obligations. With that, these countries would be willing to lift certain restrictions, provide development assistance, etc. It's just starting. We just had the first meeting with the Taliban in July of this year. Look, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. It's step for step. There are a lot of things that the Taliban need to do in order to unlock the kind of cooperation, assistance, support from the international community. The goal here is to really see the Taliban live up to all of the obligations, all of the commitments that they have made, all of the agreements, conventions, etc., that they have signed on to. And I think it's very clear that quite a number of these countries who are there as part of this are not going to be more forward-looking unless, indeed, they see some progress. Thank you.
Okay, maybe one last question, and can I add to that of course we also have in this group and among these women, we discuss all the time, what else can we ask governments to do? We want them to respect sanctions regimes. We want the neighboring countries in the region to react, to be more principled and actually put conditions to their support, because that would really help. Why do you feed Afghanistan and the Taliban with so much money? So, and of course to make sure also that we get support to the humanitarian work that is being done there, that we make sure that the whole route of actually turning this into gender apartheid, an issue of gender apartheid, is also an important one about the international legislation. So there are many tracks where we expect countries, and they can themselves appoint female special envoys. Out of the 25 that went to Doha, 3 were women. So they can show what it means to actually give women a voice. One last question. And last, you will get the list.
Please, since we speak about humanity and see what's happening in Beirut today, over 400 people just died from the not focused strike from Israel. What's your take? We've seen the same scenario that took place in Gaza. Now it's moving to Beirut. What's your take on that as you are an activist for human rights?
Yeah, all of us, all of us. Yes, sure.
I think Michael Martin from Ireland spoke most eloquently about this, that it's a very dark world that we live in right now. And we can't get into the competition for the worst, what's the worst human rights abuse. There are human rights abuses right across the globe, around the world. And so I would say every single thing that happens eats at our heart. But this place, the United Nations, is based on a dream that people can cooperate and can speak with one voice. And that's the hope. That's why we're here on behalf of Afghan women today. And I'm sure that there are many rooms right now where they're discussing Beirut, where they're discussing Sudan, where they're discussing Congo, where they're discussing Ukraine, on and on and on. So good luck to us all.
The last word will go to Dr. Habiba Sarabi. So please.
Thank you very much. Just I will be very short. I have a humble request from all the media family. Just please be alert for any documentation of human rights violation in Afghanistan. This is not the problem for Afghan women and Afghan people inside the country, in our country. This extremism and fundamentalism and radicalism that my sister Asila said, it will be spread in the region, in the neighboring country, in the region, in the world. That's why please be alert for any kind of human rights violation. Thank you very much, and don't be silent, please.
Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you. This closes it. Thank you.
Meryl, can we take a picture?
Yes. Come. But then I will move. Okay. All right, move. In front of the podium. Okay, all right. So we stand here. In front of it. Okay.